Hello Gen Chem 1 students. This week you get to use your first ever instrument to analyze for silver content in solder. Solder is used in making circuit boards and all kinds of stuff actually. In our case we have to use lead-free solder because the lead can interfere with our results here. We're comparing two different methods. One using an instrument that's going to use a tiny piece of solder about maybe that big. And the other one is the one you started the last time you were in the lab with a bigger piece of solder. So that method is called the gravimetric method. And you're going to be filtering out your liquid to capture how much solid you have and then weighing that on the instrument room balances. And then you can calculate how much silver was in your sample using the weight you start with and the weight you end with. It's a stoichiometry problem. For the instrument, what you're going to do when you come into the lab for experiment 8 is your instructor will have set it up already. You can see the flame is going to be on. You need to make two solutions. The first one is going to be dissolving your small solder piece. We call that the unknown because you don't know how much silver is in that. You're going to dissolve it the same way that you did last week, except not putting any chlorine in. Chlorine will make it precipitate, and we need to avoid that. We want it to stay in solution. So instead, you're going to use deionized water and just nitric acid, no hydrochloric. Our tap water contains a lot of chlorine, so avoid that as well. All your glassware needs to be washed with DI before you use it, so that you don't get any chloride contamination. If there is any cloudiness whatsoever in any of your samples, please do not run it on the instrument. It will clog up our tiny little capillary and then I have to rebuild it and I don't want to. So no cloudiness. Hold it up to the light and make sure that it is completely translucent, transparent. Okay, so once your samples are made, you're going to have your solder sample that you dilute 2 times. Okay, it's very concentrated and this instrument is very sensitive. So you're going to dilute it twice. Then you'll also have your standard that you make. There are 4 standards for the experiment. You individually will make 1 and then the whole class shares the data. In my lab, I'm going to make a discussion board. So after lab, please go in and add your data to the discussion so everybody has it. Okay, so to do your actual measurements, you can bring in either a test tube or you can bring in your volumetric flask. I have a volumetric flask here. And you're going to use the 1% acid that you used to make the solution with as your blank. So last time we did a blank was for the Gatorade lab and used water. Here we dissolved this in nitric. And you can see that there is definitely something in there. Those colors are what we are measuring. That's just solvent. So what we'll do is I clicked on the Analyze tab and then Analyze blank. So what this is going to do is tell the instrument what to ignore. This is the background. So it will manually subtract from each measurement for you so you don't have to worry about it. This instrument takes 3 replicate measurements, which means that if they match, which these do pretty much, it's a good day. All right, and then it says auto 0. That means it has subtracted out the signal from that sample. When you use an instrument, you always want to write in your notebook the manufacturer and the model. So those should go in your lab notebook. And then, related to our discussion in chapter 6, when the correct wavelength of light is used, we can target just one ion because silver has a gap in energy that is equal to this color of light. So you can see it in there if you look at the Cathode Ray Lamp. These lamps are actually really cool. I'm going to show you one. So this is what they look like. And basically the instrument is made so you just plug it in and it will automatically read what element is supposed to be tested for. So this lamp excites only lead ions in the aqueous phase. And the one in the instrument right now is used for just silver. Okay, so what happens in the instrument is this light gets collected by a monochromator and it bounces around in the inside to get measured. And then it pops out this little window right here. Okay, so lots of mirrors inside of this instrument. And you can actually, it's not visible right now, but you can see if I put a piece of paper there, that it is running right across the top of the sample platform. So the sample platform is where the fire is going to be. Obviously, don't touch it. It comes from a mixture of our fuel, which is acetylene, and our oxidant, which is air. And then it mixes with your sample, which is going to be sucked up in this capillary. This is the drain line. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. It's very touchy, and it will get broken, and then your teacher has to fix it. Also, another thing to be cautious of, this capillary is easy to pull out, so be really, really gentle with it. All right, and so what's going to happen is your instructor is going to light this before you come in. But that's how it does it, all right? So this is a clean flame, and you'll notice that that orange dot of light goes right across the bright, steady part of the flame. And that's intentional so that all of the flame can be as consistent as possible. Also hot, because these have to be in the gas phase, and they must be hot. Okay, so to run our sample, we take it out of the acid wash. You need to hold up here gently and wipe the capillary clean, and then just place it into your sample. Up here. Then you just click Analyze Sample, and it's going to do the same thing. It's got a delay in it so that we make sure all of our sample is sucked up into the mixing chamber. And then it will measure 3 times and give us the average. We only need to write down the average. So it's displayed up here, and it's displayed right here. The one down here stays, so this is the last sample that I ran. The one up here will change with each sample. So once you have your reading, you take it out again. Hold on. Take it out again and wipe it clean, and then put it in your acid bath to make sure it rinses. And that's it.